on your. So we're going to start from sitting, if that's okay, because we're going to do a bit of chanting and breathing. But as always, if you need to lie down straight away, that's much more important, because please remember that the essence of everything I am trying to share here is that you learn to listen to what you need, and what feels right for you. And in fact, on our retreat last week, our theme was self-care, which is actually something I might introduce next week as a theme, because so many of us find self-care very difficult, or we put the needs of others before ourselves, or we don't even know what self-care means because we're not tuned in enough to our body. We're not kind of somatically in our bodies. So how can we know how to take care for ourselves if we can't even feel what we need? Sorry, I'm just still letting people in. So before I start the practice, I just want to say a little bit about the importance of having a quiet mind and what it really means in yoga. So as I said in the email I sent out with the Zoom link, I think many people think yoga is about doing physical postures, often quite difficult, strong, bendy gymnastics. And I always like to remind everybody that actually the postures are only mentioned twice in the Yoga Sutras, and the essence of yoga is in cultivating a quiet mind. I mean, there's all kinds of other things to do with the philosophy, but that's a very good starting point, that we want our mind to be quiet. And I also just want to add to this that when I studied yoga therapy, my teacher always gave the example that if the mind is very agitated and you've got fast, speedy thoughts going, the mind is whirling, we sometimes call this a monkey mind, where we jump from thought to thought to thought. This will prevent us getting well, and it will keep us in the stress loop. So the very first thing we want to do is to cultivate a quiet mind. Now, in terms of yoga, we might call this regulating the nervous system. We can use lots of other phrases, but I think everybody wants a peaceful mind for many reasons. It makes us happier, it makes us calmer, and it just makes life much easier. So this is the thing to aim for. So we're going to do some, I'd never like to use the word work. We're going to use some tools this morning, which can help us towards having a quiet mind. So first of all, I'd like to invite you to come to a comfortable sitting position. And if you need to lie, that's also fine. And if it's okay for you, close your eyes. And the very first thing is just to do the check-in. A bit like it's a bit like you're looking out of the window and you're seeing what the weather is doing. And in that you're externalizing your senses. But for this, we're gathering the senses in and bringing them in. And we're thinking, how am I actually? How is my mind? As we've just been thinking about that. How is my body? How are my emotions? Is there any emotional dissonance there? How's my energy? And then the very first tool I'm going to introduce right now might sound counterintuitive. Sorry, I'm just going to put everybody onto mute. Might sound counterintuitive, but it is to not resist anything. Because if we think, oh, my mind's so agitated, or I don't want that feeling here, or oh, I'm so tired, that actually sets us up for more stress and tension, and that makes the mind go faster because it makes our breath speed up. So just start with your eyes closed, if that's okay, by observing, being aware of what's happening in your whole system and seeing if you can allow everything to be as it is. So you're not fighting or resisting anything, even if it's really subtle. And I mean, this can take quite a long time to do this observation. I don't just mean now, but in our daily lives, coming back and doing the check-in. because so much of the time we're not in our bodies, and we're, metaphorically half a mile from our bodies. And then we can't begin to take those steps that we need to nourish us. So just observe how you are. And then we're going to inhale through the nose and sigh the breath out. So just do that 3 times in your own breathing rhythm. Inhale through the nose, sigh the breath out. And then we're going to do a breath practice, which is particularly good for quietening the mind and releasing stress. So you might have done this with me before. We're going to take 2 sniffs through the nose and then a longer sigh out through the mouth. So sniff, sniff, sigh. Blow the breath out. Sniff, sniff, blow the breath out. So do that 3 to 5 times in your own breathing rhythm. And then take one hand to the heart, the other hand on top. We're going to hum. So I'd like you to inhale, visualizing light coming into the heart. And humming the breath out. Really effective for the vagal nerve. Does all kinds of good things to the body when we hum. So 3 to 5 times in your own breathing rhythm, your own pitch, humming the breath out. When you finish, drop your hands back. And then we're going to use an optional mantra. Now, as you know, the yoga tradition and yoga therapy use a lot of mantra work because it's very healing. And we're going to use a mantra this morning that I think you're all familiar with, which is Shanti. And I just want to read out some of the benefits of chanting Shanti so that you know I'm not just doing it randomly or because it sounds nice, although it does sound nice. So when we chant Shanti, this actually has a vibration of bringing us peace, stability, and strength. And it's connected to the root chakra, Muladhara chakra. It's a grounding mantra, therefore. And it's also very good to use if there's fear. It gives us a feeling of peace, being at home in our body, and it helps to pacify trauma and anxiety. If anybody here knows anything about Ayurveda, it's a good antidote for vata. So vata is that kind of more agitating energy that we sometimes have, but it's a very pacifying mantra. It helps us to have focus, and mantras generally cleanse the body and work with prana or our energy. So we're going to chant 3 times to our navel and then 3 times to the heart. So when you're ready, I'm going to start. Please do this in your own breathing rhythm, your own pitch, and take an extra breath if you need to. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So you do that 3 times to your belly, 3 times to your heart, and then drop your hands down. Take an extra breath if you need to. When you've finished, rest your hands on your knees and go back to the check-in. Ask yourself the question, how am I? And with the eyes closed, if that's okay for you, just feel into your whole system. And although we've only been here for about 13 minutes, just observe if the chant and the breathing has already subtly begun to affect your systems. And we're going to take one hand to the heart, one to the belly. We're going to breathe into the hand on the belly, through the nose if you can. So this is just a really good reminder. You should do it every day if you're able to. So breathe into the hands on the belly, breathe through the nose, let the breath slow down. And think of the breath as slow and low. It's not a great big deep breath, just a low subtle breath. Because this helps the uptake of energy to the mitochondria or the cell, but it also helps the flow of prana, more importantly. Well, the same thing really, but I'm talking in words of yoga. And then drop your hands down to your knees. Again, just check in for a moment or two. So we're always taking these micro breaks just to observe, just to recalibrate, reset the body. And then we're going to do a little bit of movement with the chant. Always remember the chant is optional. You can just breathe if you prefer. So we're going to inhale and lift the arms up, keep the shoulders relaxed. Chant them down, feeling prana under the palms of the hands. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Take an extra breath if you need to. Inhale, lift, shoulders relaxed. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Do that 2 or 3 times more, but rest out if you're tired. Listen in. Think of it as a moving meditation. Breath, movement, mantra, all combined. I'm just going to disappear off your screen when I shut the window. Listen in, work Move with kindness. So if you feel you need to rest out, please honor that. Again, come back to the check-in. Just notice how you are without judgments. Just bringing compassion to how you are. So we're always doing the check-in with kindness and compassion, not judgment. Curiosity. Just listening in to see if the heart has a message for you. Maybe it hasn't, and that's fine too. And then when you're ready, please come down to a comfortable lying position. So remember, you can lie in any way that's comfortable. So for you, that might be on your side or front, but classically it would be on your back. And if you need to lie on a sofa or a bed, that's fine too. And when you come to lying, I always suggest that initially, just for a few minutes, you have your knees bent just to let the lower back relax, and that you have something under your head to help the neck to lengthen. So just give you a moment or two as you transition. So you might like to look up at your belly button just to check you're straight. Have the hands either away from the body with the palms turned up, or if it's more comfortable for you, you can rest them on your belly. And just feel the weight of your head, the weight of your shoulders, your back, your tailbone, and feel that the earth is supporting you. And then very gently roll your head from side to side. And then center it again. And then we're going to visualize. We're not going to use our hands or anything like that. We're going to visualize that we're breathing through an alternate nostril breath. So I'm going to direct you so it's nothing complicated. And if you would rather breathe normally, please do so. So I'd like you for the next 5 breaths, just to visualize that you're breathing in through the left nostril and out through the right nostril, and that light is coming into your heart on that inhalation. So 5 slow breaths, breathing in through the left nostril, breathing out through the right, visualizing light coming into your system, your heart on the inhalation. When you finish your 5 breaths, just breathe normally. And then we're going to do this through the left nostril, but we're going to do something slightly different. So you're going to visualize breathing in through the left nostril, and then you're going to chant Shanti on the exhalation for 5 times. So inhale left, exhale chant Shanti. You're only visualizing you're inhaling left, so don't worry if it doesn't feel like that. So just try that, and if that doesn't work for you, you can carry on breathing normally. Come back to normal breathing when you've finished. And then we're going to do what we were doing when we're sitting, but from lying, so just to the belly, Manipura chakra. So just place your hands gently on your belly. Inhale light into the belly, visualizing light, and then chant Shanti. In your own breath rhythm, in your own pitch, on the exhalation, 5 times. And when you finish, you might like to stretch out your legs, pushing gently away with the one heel, then the other, and bringing the feet together. We're just going to take some gentle stretches. So just very gently move. So you're going to breathe in, lifting up the arms as comfortably behind you as they'll come. And if that means opening the arms wide, do so. And then pulling the toes towards you. And breathing as you just open up the rib cage. So actually, we never really use the word stretch in yoga anymore. We're thinking of opening up the front of the body. So fingers away from you, toes towards you. Breathe. And then take an in-breath. And as you exhale, relax the toes and the palms come back beside the hips. And just do that once or twice more. Just warming up the spine, opening up the ribs so the diaphragm can move freely. Toes towards you. Open up the fingers. And then coming back on a slow exhalation. And then we're going to hug the knees into the chest. So take one knee, then the other over the belly. Hold either around the knees or under the knees or wherever your hands are comfortable. We're just going to start by rocking out the spine from side to side. And then we're going to drop the hands beside the hips. Now, if you just want to rest here, that's fine. But if you want to move a little bit more, but do listen and honor your energy, just become aware of the right leg. Inhale and just gently lift that right leg. It might not come up too far, that's fine. Exhale and lower. And then take that to the left. Now listen to your body and just do 2 or 3. But if you want to move more dynamically, remember we're all different. Open the back of the knee and flex the foot, bringing the leg in towards you. But that might be too dynamic. So really honor what your body is telling you it needs and just move in a way that is kind and that feels right. And this comes back to us listening in and being aware of our sensations, knowing when to rest, not pushing. All of us tend to be people that push because that's what our society tells us to do. And we need to learn to go against that narrative. And that means even in yoga, just don't push, just do what feels right. And then drop the feet to the mat, hip width apart. Take the arms out like a cross, palms up, slightly below shoulder level. And we can do some very gentle twisting from side to side. But again, listen to how you are feeling and don't do anything that gives you discomfort. We're going to move with the breath. So we breathe in where we're at, head and knees are centered. And then as we exhale, the knees come over to the right, shoulders stay on the floor or your support, the head rolls to look over the other shoulder. Inhale to center, exhale to the other side, knees and head go in opposite direction. If you want to, you can put padding under your knees. They don't have to come all the way down. But just move gently and mindfully in the twist, knowing when you need to rest out, and just moving an equal number of times on both sides. And then when you've moved an equal number of times on both sides, again, hug the knees into the chest, rock out the spine, just to counterpose the twist. And then we're going to drop the feet to the mat. You can have something under your head if it's comfortable. I'll just show you this if you do need to look up. I'm going to draw the feet, the soles of the feet together, opening up the hips, knees coming down towards the floor to rest into a posture known as Baddha Konasana. So the heels are coming in towards the buttocks. You can put something under your knees if you would like to. And you can either rest with the hands on the belly, or if you want a stronger opening, you can lift the arms above you just to open the rib cage. And at any time you feel that stretch is too much, you just bring the hands back to the hips and you bring the knees together. So rest in the posture. But please do come out if you're feeling that the hips are too tight, or if you feel it's too dynamic. Just do the variation which feels right for your body. It's a lovely open posture, so the front of the body is open. It's also a slight back bend, so it counterposes all those forward bending movements we do during the day. Try and keep the base of the spine relaxed. And then when you're ready, bring the knees back gently together, massage into the groin, that feels tight. And then to counterpose, we'll do some nice hip movements. So again, knees over the belly, one hand to each knee. And we're going to move with the breath. So we're going to inhale and the knees float away from us. Open the knees wide. And then as you exhale, bring the knees in together. So we're circling the legs apart. And as you do this, keep your awareness in the hips and the pelvis. Just feel what's happening. loosening up the hips. And then feel the massage in the base of the spine. Feel as you move where the pressure changes on the base of the spine, the lower back. And then you can reverse that, taking your circle the other way. And then when you're ready, we're going to drop the feet down to our support. We're just going to rest for a moment with the knees bent. You might like to, again, to look up at the spine because you've been twisting and moving. You might have slightly come out of alignment, so just check that you're straight. Just align yourself. You might like to rest your hands on your belly or beside you. Come back into the body and just explore, how am I? And the great tool for quietening the mind is the breath. So for a few moments, just focus on a long, smooth exhalation, because the out breath is what brings us back to peace. It's the energy of apana. It's also the energy that brings in the parasympathetics. So inhale is free, long, smooth out breath through the nose from the diaphragm. And see if you can drop into the still point after the out breath before the inhalation naturally arises. That pause, just inviting stillness and peace. Just allowing yourself to be present here now. Remembering that wonderful Eckhart Tolle quote, which is, in this moment, there is nothing to fear. There's only fear if we leave this moment, and that is just a thought. So remember, your thoughts are not real. Only what's happening now in this moment is real. So use your body and the breath as the portal to keep you present. And then we're going to do another tiny movement before we come to our relaxation. And as always, this is optional. So we're going to go into a bridge posture. We're going to start with a spinal tilt. So keep the knees bent. Have the palms down beside you. Have nothing under your head, but lengthen the neck. Bring the chin in towards the top of the chest. And just connect with your feet and the palms of your hands. I'm going to start with a spinal tilt, pelvic tilt. So as you take an in-breath, just slightly bring the navel to the spine to engage the lower back. So the lower back moves a little bit further towards the floor. The tailbone comes about 0.5 centimetre off the floor. And then inhale and release the spine down. Exhale, navel to spine. Bring that lower back down right onto your supports. Inhale, and the tailbone comes back. So we're just tilting the pelvis a little bit forward and back, just to keep that nice mobility in the lower spine, to release any tension there. And if that's enough for you, then rest out. Otherwise, next time you inhale, pressing on the hands and feet, Breathing in to lift the spine up, keep the back of the neck long, keep the knees stable. And then we're going to chant the spine down. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So at the end of the movement is the end of the mantra. And if that's enough for you, rest. Otherwise, once more, inhale, press on the hands and feet, back of the neck long, knees stable, and then chant the spine down. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And then either rest by bringing the knees into the chest once more, rocking out from side to side, or you might like to do that once more, but listen to your energy levels. Only do what feels appropriate. And then when you're ready, we are going to come into our relaxation. So please use any pillows or blankets, or eye masks. I'm just going to stop the recording and start it again. So I'll just give you a moment or two to get yourself ready.